Okay, welcome to this week's Wealth Creation Show. We're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? Well, living in a world of abundance, how to survive in a world of abundance. So what do I mean by that? Well, we live in a world of abundance, more choice, more information, more opportunity than ever before. Yet more people feel actually overwhelmed, distracted, and financially stuck. In this live episode, Richard and I are going to break down what's really happening, how to survive, how to focus, and build wealth in a noisy, abundant world. And it is true, though, Richard, isn't it? We do actually live in the most abundant time in human history. So, why do people actually feel more broke, more stressed, distracted? Sorry, what was that? and more behind than ever. Why is that, do you think, Richard? I mean, what sort of things do we need to think about?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We do live in this time where things are in such an abundance and we've got so much at our fingertips that you would think it would be a lot more beneficial to us. But we have, we have so much more, like there's so much more information at our fingertips, social media, the internet. There's food has become so abundant. There's all these different things. And you would think that opens up, there's a lot more opportunities, and you would think that people maybe don't the way people are now, you would think it would be the flip side. But like you say, there's a lot of people who are still struggling, maybe financially, mentally, in a time where we should probably be thriving a lot more with so much abundance of things at our fingertips.
And yet there's even more money sloshing about, isn't there? When you think about it, I mean, look at the hundreds of billions, sometimes trillions, some of the governments have actually borrowed. There is more money sloshing about. So this is what I don't understand. Why do people feel more broke then and more stressed and distracted than ever? Because we live in these abundant times. It's crazy. And yet the attention span's collapsing, anxiety is rising, and people are paralyzed. They're not really empowered, are they?
Yeah, and I think because there's so much going on, people start to then coil back in rather than rather than flourishing in a time where there's abundance. It seems to do the opposite to a lot of people. Not everyone, obviously, but the grand scheme of things across the board, you do realise that people do shy away and kind of recoil, even though they've got everything in front of them.
Do you think the phrase, really, the key phrase here is abundance doesn't create freedom, and actually it's constraint that actually creates freedom?
Yeah, that would be a fair assessment, I think. Yeah.
I mean, anybody listening, who here feels overwhelmed rather than actually empowered by choice? All the choices you have nowadays. It's almost like when you go into a restaurant and you look at the menu, don't you? If it's got a menu of like 5 or 6 items, you're going, yeah, okay, I'll just pick that. But if you've got a menu, or you'll maybe actually chop and change between these 6 items, because there's so little of them. And that's kind of a good thing, because if you give someone a menu with 50 choices, guess what they go for every time? Chicken curry and fried rice.
They say the same things, yeah.
It's the same thing every single time, isn't it? So what does that say then? Does it really mean that more information, more food, more opportunities, and more money sloshing about actually makes that difference? Is that what the problem is? Living in this most abundant time in human history. I still don't get it. How could you have everything but have nothing?
I think using a restaurant menu as an analogy there is quite good, especially like Chinese menus and things. There's so much on it, and like you say, you go straight for the things that you know because you feel overwhelmed, rather than having just a simple menu with a few structured things that you know that'll give that diverse choice. Yeah.
No, I never really thought about it. Overwhelmed is the probably the key word here, because you've got so much choice. It's where do I start first?
Yeah.
And it's almost like paralysis analysis.
It's probably like too much of anything's a bad thing.
I'm not really sure. Okay, I would like to try that out. But I mean, you're fundamentally, the fundamentals of that is actually too much a good thing could be overwhelming, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Look at lottery winners, for example. 3,000 people have won the lottery since it started, apparently, and they've become millionaires. And yet we probably live in a time where the majority of these people maybe actually can't handle that, and it actually overwhelms them overall.
I've seen a lot of stories like that, especially with the lottery and people being overwhelmed with this sudden wealth of money.
Yeah. So that then takes us to the point then, what we're going to say, the problem is no longer scarcity then, it's selection, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you think back at different times, if you look back in the past and things, then work was a lot simpler, options were a lot more limited.
Well, look at that. Look at that.
Your path was probably a bit clearer.
Yeah, what you said about work is a lot simpler. When you look really back to that time, it's when you went to work, you knew what you were doing. It was almost like, I mean, let's just say it was a mundane task.
Yeah.
And you process widgets every day if you're on a production line, and it would be the same thing day in, day out. You would know everybody that was in there. You would have a great social environment because everybody would know everybody else and everybody communicated with everything else. But today, work isn't that simple now. You're almost to a point where you're asked to be multi-skilled and multi-talented and everything.
There's a lot
when
more
you're doing it.
Like a dynamic approach. You have to be very versatile in terms of, it's not just like, right, I'm a worker bee and I'll do this and that's what I do, which makes it a lot simpler, which is probably in past times. Now, like you say, you need to be multi-skilled and be able to turn to different areas within any business.
And when you said options were limited, well, it was, wasn't it? It was really down to the fact that it was, that's the way you do it. There is no other choice. There's no AI, so you don't have anybody else to call on or anything like that. There's no mobile phone. There was no mobile phone, so you had to get to a landline. You had to have a landline at your desk in order to call anybody. And pre-computers, pre all this, none of this was available. When you look back to the early 90s, we were just starting in computing. When you were in the early 90s, you were just starting to the point where you had 286 and IBM's computers and 386 computers with Intel. Intel was Intel, what's Intel? And yet Intel today is completely different than what it was when it first started out. You had you didn't really have spreadsheets. You had something that, like Amstrad, for example, had the word processor, which it was a green screen. And it was just a word processor, and it printed out, and there was no fonts, there was no type size or anything like that. It just printed out in a bit of paper.
With the wee holes along each side.
The computer paper. So when you think about the logic of that, and you think about where it's gone now, it's everything's just is at the point where it was overwhelming because of the choice and because of what we can do now. It's the path before was clearer about where you wanted to do and how you wanted to go. I mean, look at when you think, for example, the job for life. That doesn't exist today, really. No. The job for life. You're expected to retrain and reskill for 5 or 6 times in your whole lifetime, if that's minimum, I would say. And today, so what's it like today as well? Let's look at that. I mean, you've got endless side hustles, haven't you? I mean, look at the amount of people. Look at America, for example. In America, you could work about 5 jobs. I'd never realised at a time when I used to hear about people working 3 jobs. I used to see it comically in the films. I worked 3 jobs, and I'm like, really? How could you work 3 jobs?
How do you fit that in?
But when you think about, how do you fit it in? And it's the classic example about they go to work during the day, and then they come home, they get something to eat, and then they go to work at night, and it's just to earn money to keep things going. But I think the biggest challenge with that is if you keep things going all the time and you earn more money, then your purchasing power gets greater. But if everybody else starts doing it, their purchasing power gets greater as well. Therefore, more money is introduced into the economy. Therefore, all the prices go up to reflect that, including property prices. And therefore, you can't go back because all the prices have moved up now. So you have to keep doing that in order just to survive. So you get to that point where you feel abundant, and then the next minute it's at survival mode now because all the prices have gone up to reflect that. Look at the strategies thing. Endless strategies. Look at property investment, for example. Are you doing HMO? Are you doing lease to lease or rent to rent? Are you doing flips? Are you doing sourcing? And you get people that go, yeah, I'm doing them all. It's like, what? Have you ever heard a phrase that says a rolling stone gathers no moss?
Mhm.
But that is, isn't it? You see that lots of times. The amount of people I see doing different side hustles all the time is unbelievable, and
It's
endless strategies.
over diversifying and things. I mean, diversifying is a tricky thing if overdone, because then you'll be totally overwhelmed.
Endless gurus.
Mm-hmm.
Endless gurus. There's always somebody out there.
Yeah.
I was listening
Always
to somebody
a new
else
person
now.
in the scene to try and
Yeah, it's amazing how many people actually become fanatical fans of other people because they believe that they've got the right way forward.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Trump. Look how he's crystallized 50% of the American population or more into believing that he's going to be the person that saves them from themselves, effectively. He's got no intention of doing that, by the way.
No, and I actually was watching we'll not get political, but yeah, some concerning things with Trump and his administration anyway, but that's different.
So when you look at that and look at other people that are the endless gurus and the endless comparisons as well, especially with Instagram. Instagram's one of the ones that I think should really be, and TikTok and all the rest of it. So these lives that people, and then with the advent of AI,
mm-hmm.
people are looking even better. It's like, oh my God, I never knew you looked like that. And it's like on social media, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you don't even look like that in real life.
You don't look like that. Yeah, AI's taken over. But like you say about these different gurus and the comparison thing is because they find these platforms where they can project and imprints on people, and that's where they get their following. When really it's maybe sometimes always about smoke and mirrors.
So do you think it's a case of like people aren't lazy, they're overloaded?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that possibly, they're not lazy, they've just got too much going on and feel completely overloaded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their own choice, but they don't realize they're making these choices that are going to overload them.
I think as well, possibly the stuff that we need to think about is maybe abundance. Abundance kills momentum. Too much choice. Not sure where to start first. It's paralysis analysis again. We'll come back to that saying every single time. This is almost like to the point that there's so much available nowadays. It's like, where do I start first? And often what happens is it kills that momentum because people say, where do I start first? And then they kind of just drift away. We see that a lot in property investment courses. I go to quite a lot of them and just see what's going on and finding out in pin meetings and stuff like that. And it's an amazing amount of people that change every month. And yet you think it'd be the same people that come back, but it's only a core. But it seems to be the same all the time with most organisations. They're constantly trying to recruit in order to keep these numbers going.
Yeah, and they've got everything and so many possibilities. They move from one thing to the next thing, and they don't actually ever really finish one thing at a time.
Nothing.
And that's
You're right. It's like it's the ability to see it through and finish, which actually makes you valuable in the marketplace. It's not the ability to do so much at the same time. It's not the ability really to multitask. It's the ability to see it through and get it to the conclusion that it should be. I think that's the most important thing. A lot of investors are actually stuck analysing instead of actually acting. I see this quite a lot, Richard.
We spoke about this the other day.
Yeah. It's again, we're down to analysis paralysis. They spend so much time analysing. It's like, okay, I've just eaten your lunch. You're too late. I've got the deal. I've done it. And I have. I mean, we've all seen that on Instagram and stuff like that as well. And I suppose as well, what is really the tie to wealth is entrepreneurs are really endlessly learning. I was at a meeting this morning actually with a house builder. And I was talking about this. We live in a world of abundance, and yet how could we have so little, or feel that we have so little? And then also the one that we'll talk about later on is we're entertaining ourselves to death. We have access to so much information and so much social connection with people, but we actually still feel so much. We've never felt so alone.
Like isolated still, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but entrepreneurs are constantly learning, and they were saying, that's what they said to me. They says, how do how do you come up with that? How do you know that? Because most people go, just stick to being an estate agent. You don't know anything else. It's like, well, I beg to differ. I've read so much and I keep learning all the time. And I think that's what everybody should really do. People are actually consuming so much content, I think, instead of building assets. They're not prepared to be bored.
Yeah. The momentum's good, but obviously too much and applied to the wrong thing can be detrimental.
So here's the one I'm going to talk about now, then, if that's the case. And this is what I'm going to say to you. And let's discuss this. If you can't control your attention, you'll never control your money.
Yeah, because you'll apply the same method and methodology to your money as you do to how you act and how you control your attention span.
Do you think, what areas should we really look at then? What things? What is this? Is this I mean, is the real economy how it works just now? Is it the case that, well, attention leads to belief for people, leads to behavior, leads to money? Because you do see that. I mean, there's one just now who actually is completely negative about everything and believes that we should just take everything away from wealthy people, even all their assets, and redistribute them to everybody. And he has a following as a result of it. And he makes an absolute fortune out of it on speaker circuits.
Yeah. But he'll have a following of people with a like-minded view and a like-minded belief.
But what they don't realise is they're the people that actually he's trying to save, but he's charging them £100 a pop to go and see him talk at seminars.
He's capitalising from it, yeah.
So he's actually making a lot of money out of this. So is he just doing it for the money? Or is it really his core belief? So he really believes that, he really believes, and I believe as well, that attention is really the new currency. It's not money. Because the attention that you get leads to you earning more money, because you can monetize that in the belief and behavior it follows.
Yeah,
it's social media, it's the news. You see it in the news as well. You get people in articles and stuff like that getting written about them in newspapers. I say newspapers, but they're online now.
Yeah, newspaper outlets.
And it's these outrage cycles. In other words, it's the people. We've got one. It's called living rent.
Yeah.
They just want to shout about everything, but they actually don't understand what they're really shouting about and the ramifications of what they're talking about. They just want the attention.
They've got the platform. They're just not possibly putting across the right message or fighting for the right thing.
I find it bizarre because people like Shelter and Crisis and all the rest of it don't really get as much attention as they get, and yet they're just a small organisation of people, just a band of ragtags. It's like the beginning. It's like that bit at the beginning of Battlestar Galactica. There's a band of ragtag rogues that roam the galaxy, or something like that.
It's quite a good example of how powerful attention can be. It's like you say, these are quite a small organisation in comparison to like big ones like Shelter and things. Yet they get the attention because they make the most noise. Whether it's the right noise, it's just still noise.
And that's then emotionally led, isn't it? So it's really that we could really say the algorithms actually reward emotion. They don't really reward logic.
Well, yeah, if you think about algorithm and think about social media, if you watch a video through for so long on certain things because you're emotionally thinking about it or like it, then it will keep showing you similar videos, and that's how it works, because it's reacting to your emotional response to the video or whatever you're listening or watching.
So we would dare to say that you don't have really an income problem; you have an attention leak.
That would be quite accurate, to be honest. Yeah,
it is. The majority of people just don't have that income problem, do you? They have the attention leak. They're actually they're renting their mind to billion-dollar companies for free.
Yeah, and these big companies, that's what they're banking on. People using their attention span to interact with their brand or their product.
This is why I think it's it's so important that you protect what goes into your head and how you allow it to affect you, and how that's probably the most important thing out of this conversation about attention. It's you're renting your mind to billion-dollar companies for free because you're on their social media channels all the time. I mean, admittedly, we're using it, aren't we? But we, in this context, are the producers, where other people are the consumers. And you really don't want to be a consumer as such, but you want to be a consumer of things that are actually going to be beneficial to you. I mean, I would hope that what we're doing here is actually beneficial to people, hence the reason why it's probably important to actually listen in and tune in, because then they understand about what we are talking about is the fact that how you survive in a world of abundance. How do you cope with that? How do you look after yourself? How do you protect your mind? How does it affect you in anxiety, overwhelming, all these different things that come to attention? And the one I've thought to think about is the one that I want people to think about is, where does your attention go daily? What's the first thing you start thinking about?
Yeah. And one that's probably right up there, and we spoke about this the other day as well. You told me how much each individual person actually scrolls in a day. Did you not tell me it was the height of the
height of the Eiffel Tower on average? That's I got it from Dragon's Den. I actually saw Deborah Meaden actually mentioned it when she was in a speech. I was talking to Deborah, actually, name dropper. I was talking to Deborah at Glastonbury. And she actually said it's the average scrolling on a phone or a tablet for people every day. So this is just the average for people every day. Somebody must be doing astronomically more than that. Is actually the height of that Eiffel Tower every day scrolling. That is a huge amount of scrolling when you look at that. So it is. You've got to think about, where does your attention go daily, and does it go to all the right things that will help you in your future? Or is it just going on mindless information and meaningless information, which will do you no good at all? I hate to say I've got an addiction for cat videos.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got
and TikTok knows it, because it's when every time you try to take it out, it's like, yeah, bam, put another one.
I've got mine's is people cooking things and making things, different dishes, and it's my newsfeed's full of it.
Yeah, but you're maybe educating yourself with that. For me, it's just
because I like to cook as well, obviously.
And I suppose you've got to have some sort of amusement. But I think it's I remember Kevin Rowland of Dexter's Midnight Runners talking about in Glastonbury stage, and he has a song called Unwanted Opinions. In other words, it was all about somebody else putting their opinion on what he was doing, and he was like, but I didn't ask for your opinion. And do you not think that's a bit like social media?
Yeah, because there's videos that pop up, and it's things that I'm like, I'm not interested in that, but I make a point of crossing it so it doesn't start to then pick it up as something that I want to watch, because it's something I'm not interested in.
But then as well, it's sometimes you get engrossed into something that you shouldn't be arguing about.
Yeah.
It's just
invasive. It's like invasive thoughts, kind of, really, and you've no control, because all of a sudden they're in front of you on your screen.
It comes back to what Steve Jobs talked about from Apple. He said it's like you've got to filter out the noise from the signal. He says the most it'll be noise, but just concentrate on the signal. And I do find myself now and again just about to comment on something. I'll go and I think to myself,
no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, what's the point? I actually I then just delete it and go, what's the point? This is going to exacerbate to another situation. Tim Spector mentioned something about of Zoe. So saying now, I've been saying this for ages, actually, about fiber is the most important thing you've got to concentrate on. And he's only just come up with social media now. So I said, I get 55 grams of fiber a day, and I get over 100 grams of protein a day, and yet I'm vegan. And then immediately, trolls straight away. Where'd you get that fiber? Where'd you get that fiber from? And I thought, oh, he's inquisitive. He's obviously wanting to know. So I took a picture of my cupboard with all the powders that I've got. Just a small part of it, by the way, just in case anybody tries to jump on that bandwagon. Just a small part of that protein and fiber intake, and immediately went, you'll have to eat a kilogram of flaxseed every single day to do that. And I'm like, well, the flaxseed's only one bag, and there's another 8 bags there. And I just thought, and I just actually commented back and said, wait a minute, that's only a small part of my diet. And I said, you're obviously here just to have an argument. You're not here to have a debate, because there was a fact they were saying based on their assumptions. It wasn't an inquiry. In other words, because what you would have said next is, well, how do you get out all that? What is that? You get all that. So it
Rather,
wasn't
as
inquisitive.
opposed to being
Yeah,
inquisitive,
it was actually a
that
troll.
argumentative,
And I thought,
yeah.
there's no point in arguing this guy. And I says, you're obviously just on here for an argument. That's it,
Yeah.
rather than actually knowing what's going on. And I think that's what what happens is we get our attention distracted on a daily basis, and we have to be mindful that it's got to be on important things that we should be talking about.
Put our things
And
out, yeah.
does that attention compound or does it decay?
Mm-hmm.
That's up to you whether you do that. And it's the classic example, because the algorithms know straight away that that's what you're needing to do, and it plays on that and deliberately tries to get you to watch more and more and more and more. So the central idea out of this is the wealthy don't have better opportunities. They have better filters.
Yeah, a better filter system to kind of block out that noise that's going to take you off course. Yeah.
And it comes down to things like the things that's like what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the difference is. Wealthy people have, they have the same opportunities as everybody else, but they have better filters, so they're easy to recognize the right opportunities when it comes along. It's a classic example about two people walk along the road and one will be completely distracted. I think I spoke to you about this the other day. It's actually, and I didn't, by the way. I could have been running naked past this person.
Oh yeah, we did speak about this the other day. Yeah,
I could have been running naked past this person when I was running, and
totally
because they were on their phone, and I actually said hello, and nothing. Completely obsessed with their phone when they're walking past. If you look at a bus stop, for example, most people will just sit on their phone now. That never used to happen pre-phone.
Mm-hmm.
People would talk. If you think about it as well, is when you're in a pub, people that go out for a cigarette and usually go out to have a chat. But now what's happening is they don't go out just to have a chat. They go out with a cigarette and they have their phone.
Yeah.
They don't communicate with anybody next to them anymore. Communication is dying out. People are communicating via phones now, and they're communicating online. And this comes back to the stage that we have never had so much interaction with each other, but we've never felt so much alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what not to do. It's who not to listen to. I mean, some people might immediately think, I don't want to listen to you anymore. And that'll be okay.
And that's people's choice.
Sometimes I don't want to listen to me anymore.
But that's people's choice. And like you say, we do this in the hope to, share information, have a discussion, hopefully let people learn from it and things, and bank all the stuff that we want to talk about in this show and on the YouTube. But if people don't feel that it's relevant to them, then you don't have to listen, obviously. It depends what your journey is and what you're doing.
Yeah. I think it comes a lot down to what opportunities you should ignore, which ones you should ignore. I'll give you an example. I get loads of opportunity. I actually got a message the other now from somebody on LinkedIn saying, we're going to be starting a development in Indonesia. We're going to be building 6 houses. Are you interested in investing? Ignore. Not interested. Indonesia is not on my planet. I didn't even respond to this person because this is completely cold messaging. So why would I have to be entitled to message back to that person? It's like, I'm not interested, because then that just leads into why would you not be interested?
Opening a conversation about something.
Yeah, so it's like think about this. It's like someone stopping you in the street, just cold, and saying, would you be interested in an opportunity in Indonesia for building?
Yeah, that's a good way to put that, actually.
Well, and you go like, well, I'm not remotely interested.
Like, who are you? No.
Yeah, but I've got some literature to send to you. And you wouldn't tolerate that, would you?
No.
So why are we tolerating it on Messenger? Why are we tolerating it on WhatsApp? And why are we tolerating it online, on LinkedIn as well? People just randomly doing that. It's literally like somebody stopping you in the street and asking and doing that. And it's like, you would not tolerate that if it was physical, but because it's a mental thing, really, the way that works, we seem to tolerate it. We've got a different attitude to it. And I think that's what you need to. I think that's what we need to be mindful of. So, which opportunities to ignore, and which actually metrics actually matter. Look at property investing. What metrics matter in property investing, Richard?
Yeah, well, obviously you need to look at your initial cost, your return on investment, your risk, and in the investment, and all these different factors that make it a viable investment. you've not got those right, then there's a lot of people go into investing without thinking about all these risks and end up paying the price for it.
You'd be amazed in what I see on the socials when I read the investors forums and stuff like that. There's people talking about stuff that are not any relevance at all to what they're doing. Oh, I'm thinking about doing something. Can you work out my capital gains bill? I actually asked them random strangers to do that based on this information. And I'm coming on and saying, well, we don't have enough information to do that because we don't know your tax situation. We don't know anything else. And then they go in there. And again, it's like somebody stopped me in the street. Then you go into a big discussion with them. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't even know you. Just avoid them. Just don't. I know you feel compelled to demonstrate your expertise if you are really good at what you do, or help someone because that's maybe the type of person you are. But show restraint. Because remember, in any other world before this, you would never have heard from these people.
No.
And they're people you don't even know. So again, we'll come back to saying it's like someone stopping you in the street and asking you for an answer to a question that you never asked them to ask.
Yeah.
Or they decide to give their unwanted opinion.
Yeah, and some people, like you say, some people are too nice and always want to comply and feel they have an obligation to respond and assist, but you don't really. You don't owe them anything or owe them your time.
Here's probably good examples of what happens. 100 deals seen. In other words, you look online, you're going through all these properties, maybe on Rightmove or something like that, or Prime Location, Zoopla, or you've got a lead generation system that you're doing that. So you've seen the 100 deals online, you've analysed 2 of them, you've come up with 2 that you think, yeah, that's pretty good. And then you end up going to see 2 of them and you think, okay, I'm going to do that deal. Mm-hmm. That's effectively how I ran my whole business in the very beginning. I still do that just now. I'll look and then I'll do, but now I actually really don't do that anymore because I'm not really that keen on having single units. So I don't constantly analyze deals. I tend to look for portfolios or opportunities when portfolios could potentially come up.
I would say, although, like you say, you don't really do single investment purchases. But back in the beginning, when you did do that, and that's what everybody will do, but now if you were to do that, you wouldn't need to go through hundreds and hundreds of properties because you could probably pick out ones just by, that would be a good one, because you know where it is and what it is. It's going to be.
Because you've done it already.
As long as the numbers work, yeah.
Yeah, you've done it already. You understand the dynamics of it. And it's the same with entrepreneurs. When you look at the example of an entrepreneur, they'll have one channel, they'll have one audience, and they'll have one offer. That's it. They're not interested in doing multiples and getting involved in everything else and getting involved in side hustles and anything like that. They want to specialize in that industry for that offer and be the best person that does it.
Yeah.
And delivers the best of the best, delivers the outstanding result. I think the quoted style line would be, survival now means ruthless simplicity.
Yeah, keep it simple and be really strict on that.
We are going in a full circle of overcomplication to now, no, just keep it simple. But then it's maybe always been that, the KISS analogy, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
It's probably always been like that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's just actually following through with that strategy rather than getting distracted. We
all get caught up, and don't we? Because we all think we've got better ideas, and we all think we've got peppers. See the amount of times that I have got an email, and it's actually good that we could talk about that now. I got an email from one of the website people, like you've got Rightmove and Prime Location.
Yeah.
I got an email from one of them. And it was like, we're going to review your account. I went, well, what would you suggest? And it came back, well, like a war and peace. In terms of the amount of information. And I just thought, I am not going to read all that. It's like, it works now, so why would I need to change it?
Mm-hmm.
What is the, and I'm going to go back to them eventually and say, what is the 2 things out of that you probably look to change? I do not want to change everything. I just want to tweak and make sure it still continues to work in the best way possible. That's the most important point.
I think it's like they could have maybe attached maybe a lot more information, but in the body, if they were body of the email, bullet pointed, right, here's the main points. Do you think this would make a difference to your business or how you use their service? And then you could just you could quickly look over that, rather than like you say, here's War and Peace, read through it and come back to me.
And that's what a good salesperson does.
Yeah.
They don't overcomplicate it. They don't make it difficult for the person. And I've been guilty of it in the past. I've done it. I've like, oh, let's demonstrate my whole lot of knowledge, and then I've they bought into it within 20 minutes, and the next minute you talk them out of it because you've just overwhelmed them with everything else.
Yeah.
But look at my expertise in this, and my expertise in that. They come out with a roaring, a thumping head.
Too much noise.
And you're like, I've told them everything they need to know. They're definitely going to make a decision. And they're like, I am not doing anything because I have no idea where to start.
Yeah.
You've given me too much choice. So survival now definitely means ruthless simplicity, I would say.
Yeah.
So let's take us on to then. Now, I talked about this as in producers and consumers, but let's reframe this as the producer is really the asset builder, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's then you've got the probably the abundant consumers. So the asset builders versus the abundant consumers. The world is really divided into two camps, isn't it?
Yeah, I would believe that. You're right. The two camps. You've got these consumers of abundance, like you say, and then the people who build assets.
So who is a consumer then? What does a typical consumer profile look like?
Consumer, especially in today's world, it's these, do you know, the endless scrolling. Do you know TikTok? They've got TikTok Shop and all this. So, do you know, you're scrolling, but unbeknown to you, you're a consumer because these things are catching your attention, and you might click and buy it, or click into TikTok Shop and buy it because you've just watched a video about how to use this product. That is ultimately, do you know, endless.
It's a new bid up TV or QVC, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah.
It's effectively they've got you on a different medium, but they've got you on an addictive medium.
Yeah.
And the world has now gone from just 1 or 2 presenters to anybody could be a presenter. So these shining stars that would never have got an opportunity to get in the door at sales online have now got an opportunity to do it themselves and have the medium to do it on TikTok and places like that.
Yeah, and the endless scrolling, like we already touched on, these consumers they're driven by their emotion and their emotional reactions to what products and things are in front of them, and it's all about that. Do you know, the dopamine hit, that short dopamine hit, because they think, oh, I'm buying this and buying this. The amount of people I hear talking about TikTok Shop, I've never bought anything off TikTok Shop.
I've never bought anything, and I don't think I ever will.
And I'm not a big one for scrolling through TikTok. I do Reels, but not TikTok.
Surprisingly, Richard, I have actually just almost abandoned TikTok. I don't actually. It's not a medium. I think I should engage with because it's still relatively in its infancy. In terms of it's still trying to find its way. If you look at TikTok in China, TikTok in China is only designed to be an education tool. That's all it's designed to do. It's not designed to be what we've got, like the comedy and the memes and trying to sell you stuff. It's explicitly designed and structured as an education tool for their workforce, for their potential workforce, for their education system, for the children and stuff like that. You're not allowed to put stupid things on like what we do in the Western world.
Yes,
there's a stark revelation between the two cultures when you look at that. And this, what I would suggest is the other one that we've mentioned here is the consumers about constant learning. Yeah, it's good, but you've got to be learning in what you should be learning, not just loads and loads of useless information. Something that's relevant to what you're doing. That's what will help you move forward. That's what will help you end up moving from an abundant consumer to an asset builder, because then you'll realize you're able to add value in what you're doing. And other people will realize that because of the education that you've given yourself online. Kind of like an open university to use it correctly.
Yeah, and video is just like what we're doing just now, and obviously the short ones as well. They are very good ways of learning and picking up skills and knowledge. But just like you say, be careful, it's the right thing you're learning about and picking up the right knowledge.
And that then brings us to the fact that if you're the asset builder, then you should have the focused output, shouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely focus on what's getting output and have a lot more grasp on the building assets rather than being a consumer and putting things out there.
That then leads me to my great thing I would suggest about wealth is boring.
Boring as well, yeah.
It is. It is. I was actually asked by my bank manager. I do have a bank manager who's a good friend, and he said to me, "So what are you going to be doing this year?" And I went, "Absolutely nothing." He went, "What?" He went, "You know, buying any portfolios or building any assets or anything like that?" And I went, "No, because I think it's going to be a different type of economy this year. I think I want to build cash."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm no daft. I sit and watch the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, and they're sitting, Berkshire Hathaway sitting on a huge mountain of cash just now. So they're looking for acquisitions. And I think they know as well that you can't continually borrow as a government and keep paying people salaries from borrowing in the public service and actually still maintain a healthy economy, while the private sector businesses are actually struggling and paying pension contributions of 26% to your senior members of staff.
Yeah,
it's like, this is ludicrous.
And borrowing and using other people's money, like the banks and thing, to build your, and in the first instance is good, but once you get to that point, you're at a point just now, Jim, where you've had a few acquisitions that you've done, but it's like it's time to let them grow and build a little, like you say, and accumulate.
It takes a couple of years to get everything on track, to get everything up and running, to make sure the properties are running properly, to make sure the tenancy is running properly, and all the rest of it. Once these couple of years are out the way, the refurbishments, the improvements, and all the rest of it, that's when you start to build cash from then on.
Yeah.
So yes, if you're a risk taker, a high risk taker, then you can jump in with that again and start buying even more. But remember, you've got to take into account external factors that you cannot control. The economics, the economy, inflation, unemployment, all these things could have a detrimental effect or a positive effect on what you're doing and where you are. So you have to, what I call is be able to weather a storm if it comes along, especially if you've seen a huge growth in your economy and in your house prices and prices of food and services and stuff like that over all these years, because at some point in time, it's got to kind of reset. I'm not talking about crash, I'm just talking about reset. So being bored sometimes is the best option overall. And that's what builders do. They know when to grow, but they also know when they need to just be that bored repetition.
Yeah.
Every single time. What do you think is the most classic example of repetition? Duplicating. McDonald's.
Yeah.
Same thing, same format everywhere, unless there's a religious thing in the country they're in. But literally, you can go to McDonald's in America, and it would almost be the same experience as you have as the UK, and also on the continent as well in Europe. And if you go down to London, because we're in Scotland, you go down to London, it'll be exactly the same format down in London as it is up here. Maybe they don't have the McHaggis though. No, that's no product, by the way, for anybody listening. There is no McHaggis. But if you're going to do it McDonald's, remember I said it first and give me some royalties for it.
Yeah.
especially for Buns Day.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be a good idea, actually. I should maybe pitch that to them. And the long-term thinkers as well, the asset builders, and they understand the use of systems, and systems leads to the motivation to be able to run them correctly and the people running within them. I mean, people would be really surprised to understand that I don't really get involved in my portfolio at all, and it's all run by you, Richard, and the team. That's it.
Yeah,
I don't make any decisions about repairs, improvements, or anything really.
If you think back the years, how heavily involved you were in your portfolio compared to now, it's completely different.
I don't know any of my tenants at all, really. And that's okay, because if I knew everybody, that means I'll be doing it myself all the time again. So I think that's it. So the tie to wealth is assets, remember, this is all, the whole purpose I'm doing this and the whole purpose I put it in place was all about time freedom.
Yeah.
That's what it is, and how to remain calm. Ben said the other day when I was taking my blood pressure, because I've got a Garmin Index blood pressure monitor, he says, because we were talking about something, and I was I wasn't getting heated, but he says, your blood pressure's going to be really up. And I put it on, and it was like 110/70. And I says, see, there you go. That's what exercise and running does for you.
Yeah.
So assets create that optionality and that point about you can do what you want to do, and also as well, abundance tempts people away from asset building because they want everything all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I want a bigger house. I want a bigger car. I want a better holiday. And it's that abundance and that temptation that leads you into actually destroying your capability to build assets and wealth.
Yeah, people as soon as any type of abundance or increase, they want to then spend, and like you say, get bigger houses, better holidays, and all the rest of it. And then really that's where the abundance really rewards you being a disciplined person, as opposed to, being distracted and totally that could just destroy you.
Well, it works in two ways, doesn't it? Abundance is great, but if you're disciplined, then it rewards you. If you're distracted, then it destroys you in terms of what you're doing. So then that flips the mindset of I think, is it scarcity thinking is really now a choice?
Possibly. I mean, if you think about the flip mindset, it's no longer scarcity. It's no longer an environmental thing. It's more a behavioural thing.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, it is. It is. It comes down to mindset, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's how you
comes down to that fact. It's like, I mean, here's examples of this, just in case anybody's not getting it here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time, and yet you're scrolling hours daily, all the time. You're on your phone. Even people that says I don't have time, they're actually sitting on their phone saying it. Oh, I don't have the time.
I've just not got the time, but my phone's in my hand for 4 hours.
I've not got the time to do that. I've not got the time to phone that person. I've not got the time to go down to the shops. I've not got the time to do the washing. I've not got the time to do the hoovering. And it's like, I need to get somebody to do that. But you're actually sitting in I've not got time to cook that food. But you're sitting on your phone. You're playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good one as well. I can't save. And yet you've subscribed to every single thing going. There is an advert going on social media now, isn't there? Where somebody's going on, it's like, oh, I bet you I could save you and your subscriptions, or I'll give you $100 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they've got this app and it checks for all the subscriptions on their phone that they're paying for, and they're going, I'm paying that much.
They don't even realise half of them are there.
Yeah. I'm paying that much. Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, MGM,
Apple TV.
Yeah, Apple TV. Some I've never subscribed to ever, and I never will.
Mm-hmm.
But it just shows you, it's like we sit and say we don't have these things, and yet we don't actually see what's going on and what's happening to us, because we're a consumer-led society. Here's another example. I've missed the boat. Yeah, boats leave all the time.
Yeah.
When's the best time to invest?
No. Oh, yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. When's the second best time to invest?
No.
Now, absolutely. So you never really miss the boat. It's just the fact that you think I used to get it all the time when I used to pitch network marketing. Everybody used to say, oh, well, I've gotten at the ground floor. And it's like, well, who wants to get at the ground floor when you're getting at the top?
Yeah.
I don't want to get in the ground floor. It just so happens I've helped build it for the very beginning. So you can get in at the top. You didn't need to be starting at the ground floor like me.
And work all the way up. And yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same with property investment, isn't it? And kind of the same with wealth creation as well. You've got all these people that have actually done it in their track record, and they actually teach it for free. They don't charge people for it. They're actually teaching it for free. Buffett's a classic example of doing that. Bezos actually has really good thinking and all this. Tony Robbins actually teaches quite a lot online for free. And you've got all these people selling, try to sell you their book, who are actually on podcasts, actually teaching you some of these things in the book for free. And yet we still say we've not got time we've missed the boat, or they can't save. It's like, I defy anybody to say to me they can't save because they've not got the money to save, because I could show you straight away where the money is. I could take one look at your finances and tell you straight away where you could save money.
I think as well, as soon as you say to yourself, or even say it out loud to someone else, do you know, oh, I don't have the time, or I can't save, or I've missed the boat for that, you then ingrain it into your own mind that that's the reality, and ultimately it's not.
So the greatest advantage today isn't money, it's actually restraint and discipline.
Yeah. To your own self.
Yeah. It's actually learning and understanding to be, it is coming back to delayed gratification, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About the fact that I'm going to save for today to enjoy tomorrow. And I know there are people out there who say, but what happens if tomorrow never comes and you might get run over by a bus tomorrow?
But when it does come and you've no money.
Yeah. And that's what you've got to think about. Do you want to take that risk? Because it's very minimal that you'll get run over by a bus. Do you want to take that risk? That could happen to you, and you don't do that, because what's it going to be like when you get to that point and you've not got the money? You've not saved for that point. It's not going to be great, is it?
No.
You're going to work for the rest of your life. You're going to be basically impoverished for the rest of your life because of that. The opportunities are there. So this is what I'll say it again. The greatest advantage today isn't money. It's actually learning to restrain yourself from actually getting carried away.
Mm-hmm.
A great one out of that is, I want something. Ask yourself, well, do you need it? I want it. Well, do you need it? Well, no, really, I just want it. Well, don't buy it then.
Yeah.
Don't have it. That's restraint.
It's not a need or a necessity.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it. I mean, I want a Ferrari. I want a Lamborghini Huracan. But do you think I'm going to buy it? No, because there's no need for it. If I really wanted to have an experience in it, I would go to a showroom and I'd say, look, can I just test drive that and get it for free? Or I would hire the car for a week and actually pay them $5,000 or something like that, and then hand it back and save myself a fortune.
Yeah.
Rather than the 178,000 you've actually invested in it, and then you're stuck with it. And then you try to sell it and you're losing 20 grand immediately. I think that's the most important thing. So it's all about flipping that mindset and making sure you understand where you are. So how do we actually survive and thrive?
Yeah, I mean that will be the question. People are like, how do I do this? Do you know, how am I going to survive, and how am I going to actually thrive in a way that's positive? And there's several different ways you could do it, and there's like a survival kind of, you could code thing, and control your inputs, I think, is the first thing. Do you know, news diet, social diet, information diet? Do you know,
the news is definitely, the news is actually, the news is one-sided, isn't it?
Yeah,
and they've got their political affiliations, and I understand that. And if you understand that, you're fine. You'll not be sort of influenced by it. You'll just understand this is what's going on, but you know why they're saying it that way and not the other way, because you could look at the same situation and see it completely differently. Definitely the socials has got to be a thing that you've got to curtail, and it does mean, before you go to your bed, leave your phone in a different room. When you come home, don't put your phone at the table when you're eating. Sit at the table. And don't sit in front of the telly eating your food. Sit at the table with someone else. Social connection.
Yeah, definitely. And information, I mean, it's about the wrong information for you and not letting that influence you.
Yeah, about getting the right stuff that you should be learning from, rather than actually the stuff that's just meaningless information. I think it's Einstein that said something like that about, why would I want to clutter my mind with various telephone numbers and numerical algorithms if I could just write it down on a bit of paper and just and get it when I need it? Yeah. Why would I want to clog my mind like that?
What about your choice? Do you know your choice of how you build your wealth? Do you know, obviously you do predominantly property investment, Jim?
Well, I do a combination. I've got the well. Originally, when I first started, I started off with a job, so I worked for someone else, and I was really outstanding at that. And I moved my way up the career ladder, if that makes sense.
Corporate ladder.
Yeah, you know, that's what I did. But I also had my side hustle, which was property, and that's the only two things I really did. I didn't really do loads of holidays. I didn't do loads of activities or anything like that. I just concentrated. The property was really my hobby. It was my activity. It's what I loved doing. It's what I loved getting involved in, and I became obsessive about the whole thing. And I think that obsession led me to the wealth for that reason.
Yeah.
I think you've got to get sort of a sort of a bit of obsessed about what you're doing. You got to have some excitement. You got to have some passion about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you definitely, if you're going to create wealth, you've got to choose some wealth engines, and you've got to choose one. You've got to pin your cards to the mast and choose one. Don't start doing multiple things. Just concentrate on be the best at one of them. Best in property, the best in business, or things like skills and income and assets, and teaching other people to do that. Provided you've got the knowledge and expertise in doing it, and you've actually done it. Like Keith Cunningham says, it's like you better be eating your own cooking. You better be eating your own cooking. He also says stick to your knitting. In other words, stop diverting into areas where you shouldn't be, in order, because at that time that immediately tells you stop getting distracted.
Yeah.
Shiny penny lying on the ground.
Find some pick a business engine, like, or a wealth engine, that whether it's business or property or whatever, and run with it and excel at that.
It's the building, it's the boring bit as well. It's the automating the savings, it's the automating the investing. I do it every single time for years and years and years. I used to put about 800 quid away, 900 quid every single month, and that paid for a property we had in Spain. Then there was a huge amount left, and that's all paid off and the rest of it. And now I've got a huge nest egg there. The other one as well is I put pension money in every single month for my kids from birth, and it's still going, and they're 30. And 25 and 24. So they're still getting it. And it's only a small amount every single time, but I don't miss it because I've never ever had it. And,
so
and then all
the
money, you know yourself, all the money I generate from my property businesses, it just goes straight back in. I don't actually take it out unless it's a one-off dip because I need it for something, you know, an outstanding one-off thing. I don't do subscription stuff. In other words, repetitive costs. I don't like repetitive costs because you know you're lumped to it. Like, for example, a car finance or anything like that, unless it's your business because it's tax deductible.
That's different.
But I don't do personal debt, if that makes sense. I'll do buy-to-let mortgages because that's not really personal. That's through the business. But other than that, I don't do personal debt. I don't like that. And I automate everything and saving and investing. And I just leave it to get on with it. I don't tinker with it. I do play long game. I ignore the hype cycles and all the rest of it. It's like, oh my God, it's going to all crash. It's going to crash. Listen, if I'd sold up because it was going to crash 6 years ago, I'd be in a totally different position right now.
Yeah.
Because it never crashed 6 years ago in COVID. Everybody said it would.
Everybody said it would. apart from you, Jim, yeah. And we've got that.
Well, there'll be other people like me that said, well, I don't see any signs it's going to crash.
Yeah.
So that's why, and focus on compounding, which I do very, very well. And that's why I keep saying it's like, I know where I'm going to be in 36 years. And if I hit that number, whoo-hoo. If I don't, like, I'll get damn close to it. And it's like, wow, that'll be just as much. And I think as well, it's just reduce noise weekly. Kind of start subtracting things from your life, not all at once.
Yeah, if you look at what noise is around you and think, I don't need to be listening to that, take it away and gradually take it, and then you'll be focused on the noise that's relevant.
The key here is, in a world of abundance, subtraction is probably the superpower, isn't it?
Yeah, taking away all these things that are not worth your time and your energy.
So let's close this and talk about what is the final thought we've got to think about, Richard.
I think for me, finally, the future doesn't really belong to the smartest. It belongs to the people that are the calmest and could take that step back and kind of reflect and have that call to reflection. Do you know, what will we, the question is probably, what will we ignore this year? What will we double down on this year? And what asset will still be paying us in 10 years? Not in 2 years, in 10 years. And like you say, Jim, thinking about the long game.
That is a really good saying, actually. The future doesn't belong to the smartest, it actually belongs to the calmest.
Yeah.
When all those about you are fearful, that's when you get greedy.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when everybody else is greedy, that's when you should be fearful.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit like the AI hype, isn't it?
Oh yeah, at the moment, yes, definitely.
I'm extremely nervous of that market, but I'm not invested in it, so I'm okay. But it still has a knock-on effect overall to everybody else. So you're right. What are you going to ignore this year? I'm asking everybody out there that's listening to this and tuning to this, what are you going to ignore this year? What are you going to double down on this year? And what assets will you still be paying for you in 10 years? So let's close off here. I think my final phrase out of this is survival today isn't about fighting for scraps. It's about learning to walk past the buffet with discipline.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's really nailed it for that. Okay, let's finish off here. Thanks very much for coming on, Richard. And that's another great show. Next week, we're going to be talking about, the one that we're going to be talking about is, I think it's going to be classic, entertaining yourself to death. And what that means. I definitely think that's going to be a really good one. And we've never been more entertained, but we're never more distracted, never more anxious, and financially stuck overall. So we'll talk about that next week on the Wealth Creation Show. Until next time, bye-bye from us.
Bye.